Alright, y'all, let's talk about Weezer. Now, Weezer is a very interesting band because I didn't really know this until today. They've actually released 10 albums since 1994, which is really an astounding amount. I mean, I know they've had a career for 20 years, but I had no idea they had that many records out. Primarily because I'm one of those guys who likes to, or at least prefers to believe, that Weezer made 2 albums, and then Rivers Cuomo went insane and just released really, really lackluster music for the better part of the last 15, 16 years now. But okay, actually that's kind of not exactly an accurate statement to say, because at least to a certain capacity, we all know the Blue Album is great. We all know Pinkerton is fantastic. But just kind of come out and say that everything the band's done from the Green Album on has been terrible. I don't think that's really a fair, assertion to make. Because I think even though those albums that came after Pinkerton really haven't been anywhere near as good, they've had some decent stuff. Maladroit, had a couple of good songs. It had Keep Fishing and, Dope Nose. And you go to the Red Album from '08. It had 2 of my favorite Weezer songs, actually, Pork and Beans and Heart songs. So, it's not like they've done absolute garbage nonstop since 2001. Although the overwhelming majority of it has been exactly that. So the question you kind of keep asking yourself, when you hear songs on the radio by Weezer today, like that song about cannolis, when you hear Beverly Hills, when you hear this really just soulless, crappy, just pointless, sort of like pseudo self-parroting pop rock, you guys just, what happened? This is a band that made 2 of the absolute best, rock albums of the 1990s. In fact, I'm one of those guys where I'm willing to come out and say that Pinkerton is the best album of the 1990s of any genre. I think it's that good. That's something I would be comfortable stating. So what went wrong? How did the band go from making this really, really great, post-grunge music to being a band that just made, what they're making now? And I think when you look at Weezer, where the downfall occurred was, there's a very specific moment. It was 1998. That was when their bassist, Matt Sharp, left the band. And for those of you who aren't familiar with Matt Sharp, he's a guy who actually co-wrote most of the early Weezer tracks. So, he was the guy who had a really big creative input on the band. Maybe not as much as Rivers, but certainly a whole lot. In fact, Matt Sharp actually sued Weezer and the record label for not giving him royalties for writing some of the early Weezer songs, the really good ones. And I think ever since his departure, that's been it. That's kind of the central point. If Matt Sharp had stayed with Weezer, I think he would be sort of that counterbalance to Rivers' sort of, egotistical, like insincere, like emo, wannabe poster child stuff. As long as you have those 2 kind of, going back and forth, keeping it in check, you get really, really great music. And you kind of get, Rivers filtered down to really, his core, to what makes him great, instead of just being just so grandiloquent. And I know grandiloquent is not a term we get used often, but when you look at Weezer's music today, grandiloquent is a fitting term. Now, this Matt Sharp guy, over the years, we've heard rumors, there may have been negotiations at certain points to have him rejoin the band for a concert or 2, but, they always fall out. They kind of have a Axl Rose / thing going on with Rivers and Matt, which is a shame, because you put those 2 together, I think you have a really, really solid creative core for making some great music. I love to see them work together again and actually get, a true successor to Pinkerton out there eventually. Now, before we wrap up, Matt Sharp, if you haven't heard, in addition to his solo work, and it's really good, he also started a band called The Rentals. And the Rentals are this really, really great sort of synth rock band who, if you haven't heard them, listen to them. They're great. They got a couple albums out. They actually had one come out, I believe, in 2015 called Lost in Alphaville, which is actually really, really solid stuff. And quite frankly, way better than anything Weezer's been doing since the Green album. So if you haven't heard the Rentals, go and check them out. That's really the heart and soul of Weezer. That's what happened to the band that we all loved back in 1996. So there you go, just my thoughts. I think there's certainly a quantifiable, determinable point where Weezer went off the rails. And really, if you ask anybody anything about music, it was when Matt left.